I've only worked a normal 9 to 5 job for around 3 to 4 months of my life. I've done a lot of other kind of part-time jobs, and I've learned a lot about the systems in place and what they don't tell you about working a 9 to 5 job. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm about to tell you, you probably already know yourself. And I'd just like to make a point before I kind of get into the untold truths of working a 9 to 5, which I think will be the title of this video, is that I think jobs are very important and that they are the backbone of society. And yes, I know there are a lot of comments, I can see them already. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur, not everyone can do this, not everyone, someone has to be that janitor, someone has to be a cleaner, someone has to be a bin man. All of this types of stuff that a lot of people with limiting beliefs will point towards and say, well, this can't be me. It can be you. If you have the capacity to watch this video, then you can do it. It's never been easier. We know that the average guy is not doing too much with his life. It's really easy to get ahead. And I feel like if you even are watching the kind of self-improvement entrepreneur type of content, then you are 100 times ahead of kind of that average guy. But a lot of people, you have to understand, they need these jobs. When there is no authoritative kind of figure in place, the world would be in disaster, and we need authoritative figures in place for a lot of these people, as they just wouldn't be able to function. Working a job is good for probably about 80% of the population or so. So it's important to bear that in mind. But for you watching this video, you probably think a bit differently, and you probably can achieve a lot more than the average person that we know is not doing a lot with their life. And this is why I decided to make this video, because there's a lot of stuff that I think you probably know, like I said, but you probably haven't really thought about it too deeply. And maybe after this video, this is kind of my purpose of making this video, is maybe you'll just reevaluate what you're doing with your kind of, if you're working this normal job, or you're thinking of starting it, or maybe you're thinking of taking a different career path. I want you to kind of just have some analysis on your current position, and maybe consider, yeah, he's got made some fair points that I will consider, or maybe you just disagree with it. But I think a lot of these points that are very obvious, that a lot of people neglect, and I feel like if you just took yourself out of this equation of working this 9 to 5 job for a few months, then you'd maybe realize that this is not the best way to be living your life, because I see a lot of unfulfilled lives. I think I made this comment in the first video I ever made on this channel. But I'll get into the untold truths that they don't tell you when you start your 9 to 5 jobs. And the first one I want to talk about is earning potential. And say you start a new job, they tell you, right, you're getting 30k a year, which sounds pretty reasonable, right? If you're in the UK, that's a pretty good wage. I think the average is around 24, 25. I might be completely wrong. I think it's around this anyway. But the thing is, you're not actually taking home £30,000 a year that they tell you you earn, and you'll be like, oh, that's a good job. And then I think around when it's over 12, 13k in the UK or so, they take away 20% of your earnings. So say you're on 30k, they take away 20% of that. You're down 6k, you're on 24k straight away. And there's other things in the UK. If you're from the US, it might be a bit different. I'm not too sure how it works, and I might be slightly off. Some people might point towards, you have stuff like national insurance and a few other things. Pension, a lot of people kind of, if you don't opt out of this in the UK, they automatically put you on this kind of pension scheme. But for me, I feel like, especially if you're a young guy, that's not really the best kind of avenue to go down for earning. I feel like you should definitely just take that money now, reinvest it yourself, or kind of use it towards your own business or whatever it may be for you, because that money, by the time you retire, it's not going to be worth too much. And I don't think if you're watching this type of content that you're really going to be concerned too much about how much you have in your pension. But for me, I feel like stuff like that is a bit of a waste of time, and you should just take the money now. Other things, maybe you've got uni debt to pay off or something else, and then you're actually coming out, say if you're on 24k a year from that 30k job that they told you you had, you're on, that averages out at £2,000 a month. You take away national insurance after this, and then pension, anything else, you're probably looking 1.5, 1.7, maybe 1.8. I don't know. It depends on the individual, and this is quite clearly not kind of what you're promised. And when you think about everything that you're involved, which is my next point that I want to make, is that you're not actually there for the 9 to 5 hours that they tell you that you are there for. So an average kind of contract will be 37.5 hours a week in the UK. So this basically means you're there 8 hours a day. Obviously 8 times 5 would equal 40 hours. They'll give you a 30-minute lunch break, which I don't think most people get paid for. And then so 37.5 hours. Okay, so you think that's not that many hours when you think about how many hours in a day. Yeah, that's a third of your day for 5 days a week. It doesn't sound that bad, but also you have to take into consideration the commute to work. A lot of people, especially if you work in London maybe, and you're commuting on a train, or maybe you're getting a bus, like this can take an hour, especially in busy times. When I'm traveling to somewhere around like 8, half 8, 9 o'clock, the roads are just like completely chock-a-blocked. And that was such an English saying, by the way. It's for anyone from the US probably has never heard that saying at all. But you just can't really get anywhere at all, so it's taking you an hour to get there. And then the same thing occurs when you're trying to get home at 5 p.m. at night. Traffic, everyone's trying to go to the same places. You can be waiting an hour. Obviously it depends on your commute. So if you are working a kind of this 9 to 5 job, you ideally do want to find something that is quite close to home for you, because that will make a massive difference. Because every single day, the place that I work is like 10 minutes from me. There's not really a lot of traffic, especially the kind of route I go. It's a lot more in the countryside, so I don't really have that issue. But obviously a lot of people do, and I understand if you work in a job that's for like a big company, it's going to be around a big city, London, Manchester, Birmingham, somewhere like that is going to be probably where you're going to work, and there's going to be commuting issues, and that's going to take a lot of time, which a lot of people will feel just don't consider when they're working this job. And also getting ready, you're showering, you're getting ready, you're putting on your fancy suit and stuff that's too tight for you. It's all tight around your balls and stuff. It just doesn't feel nice at all. All this time you're kind of using that you're not really considering. You're not getting paid for this at all, by the way. Every single day you do that. Do it at the end of the day, showering, getting changed for whatever it is. Maybe you go gym after that. It's a lot of time. So I think like the average day, you probably are involved everything, commuting, getting ready, all of this stuff. You're working 10.5 hours a day, and then you come back and then you're just exhausted. You don't have any energy you've kind of left. A lot of people, this is why they kind of fall off the gym and stuff, because they just don't have that energy. They're working a job where their boss might be telling them they're not happy. You've not done this report that I need you to do. You're not filled out this fucking spreadsheet that doesn't make any difference, and all of this bullshit. But that happens, and that links quite swiftly onto my next point that I want to make, is that I was talking to my friend about one of his mates who's like, yeah, he's got a kind of a good accountant. I think it's accountant job or something. I think it was 30k a year, something similar to the point I just made. I'm not sure. This guy works hard, does his 9 to 5. Then at the weekends he'll be drinking and maybe doing other things. I'm not too sure exactly, but a lot of these people are drinking, drugs, whatever it may be on the weekends, taking substances that, for me, that I don't have to take, because I'm happy with my life. I'm doing stuff that is fulfilling for me, and I'm not constantly drained. Obviously I try my best to work hard, and I'm working quite a long hours, especially over the last few months, but I'm not pushing myself to just like, well, I've got no energy left that I've still managed to find the time to go to the gym and that energy there. Which a lot of people kind of neglect. They're just putting everything into this, and then they kind of need that kind of release and to kind of let themselves loose on a weekend. That's why everyone's like, oh, it's Thursday, one more day, and then I get to have 2 days of freedom. And I've always looked at that kind of lifestyle and I've been like, what is that? Is that it? Is that all there is? And this is kind of why I discovered kind of self-improvement content. I remember discovering Fast Man and hearing a lot about life setup, and it was just refreshing to hear this type of content, and there's another side of male life, and that's what there truly is. But a lot of these guys that will kind of get stuck in this 9 to 5 job will go out on the weekend and be on a load of stuff, and then they're just tired all the time. They don't have the energy for anything, and they're just completely out of it. They're waking up and going to sleep at completely different times on the weekends, which obviously your body doesn't really want that. You're meant to be waking up, going to sleep at the exact same time every single day, and it just gets you out of that rhythm, which I think is very important. And I feel like if you need these substances to kind of get you through life, and especially through a job that is not very fulfilling and purposeful for you, then it's not worth it for me. I don't really care how much money you're getting paid. For me, I just don't think it's worth it. And there's a wealth equation that I remember MJ DeMarco from The Millionaire Fastlane basically said, like, a wealthy lifestyle was involved with 3F, which was freedom, so that involves obviously financially, time, location, those kind of 3 things that a lot of people will speak about, and then you got your family, so relationships, whether they be friends, intimate relationships, socializing, which is so neglected over recent years. And then what was the other one was fitness, which is health, so like your overall health. We all say, you all know that saying, like, if you don't have health, you don't have anything. Health is wealth, and it is to a certain extent. You need to have that ability to function and get through anyway, especially mental health that a lot of people neglect. That's why they kind of struggle to get on with the basic kind of necessities of life and just carrying on every single day, because their mental health is so poor. And this is something that really stuck with me, because a lot of people will look at wealth and they just think about the money, and that's not what it is. But they were the main points that I feel that a lot of people are not really taking into consideration, which, to recap, is like the time involved, commuting and getting ready and all of this stuff that a lot of you aren't getting paid for and can take up a lot of time and your energy. The earnings is not as much as it seems on paper. You're not actually earning the money that they tell you that you are earning. You're earning 20, and even higher end jobs can be 40-50% tax. So I just don't really understand how people could do that job when they're taking 40% of your money straight away. It seems ridiculous, but I understand that a lot of people do this and get stuck in this because it looks like it's a good amount of money on paper, but it's not actually really as good as it seems, which it happens a lot through life. And that a lot of people have to go to these kind of vices of drinking, of drugs, of just getting into poor habits, and maybe mixing with the wrong people that they shouldn't be, and who are not the best people for them to be around. And for me, that's why I have kind of, once I did that lifestyle where I was just working, just sitting at a desk and not doing anything fulfilling, it wasn't for me anyway. I know a lot of people are happy with this kind of like paper pushing job, but for me, it's just not worth it at all. I don't really care how much money it is paying you. I just don't think, unless it's fulfilling for you, it's not really worth it. But I know, if you are kind of someone who thinks like, for me, I'm just not really too bothered about a business, to be honest with you. A lot of the points you're saying is true. I kind of agree with that and whatever. Then I definitely think there's a lot of different job roles out there for you. You can definitely be working with someone who has their own business and they're doing something that you truly care about. It's a lot more flexible. Maybe you can work wherever you want in the world, which is becoming more and more accessible these days, which would be a massive benefit for you. And also kind of working a job where the kind of shift kind of patterns are different. Maybe you're working one day, you're working like 8 till 3, and then the next day you're maybe doing like 3 till 10 at night or something like that. For some people that won't work because they've got children, I understand this, but for me, stuff like that can make it doesn't really seem like a normal kind of job and stuff like that. And having that flexibility too, to maybe not have a certain schedule, you have to do this hours, you have to be there this time, and just maybe being at different places. Maybe you're at a different country. That's a very cool job if you can kind of find one of those jobs where you're kind of flying around. And I know that's a very small percentage of people that can do this, but I'm sure if you work hard, like I say, the bar is so low that you can achieve probably anything that you want to and more from life these days. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say on the untold truths of not working a 9 to 5. If you have any more that you think would be important to share to people who are maybe kind of going down that 9 to 5 rabbit hole, and they know it's not really right for them, they know that they're kind of being scammed by the system, but they're not really too sure how and maybe why they should get out of it, then drop a comment below. If you want to work one-on-one with me in my personal coaching, I'll leave the link to that below. And like and subscribe. I appreciate all that stuff. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take care.